Okay, we're rolling in your own time.
Join me, Rebecca Jane, every week for Midlands at Home. We'll be talking to local estate agents, finding out what's going on in the property market, and looking at... Hello, I'm Rebecca Jane and welcome to Midlands at Home, where every week we're going to be looking into the fascinating world of property. Every week we're going to be looking at renovations, what's on the market and how to do up your home. We'll also be featuring expert guests, and this week we are joined by Matthew Moore from Edwards Moore, the estate agency from Walsall. So thank you for joining us on Big Centre.
That's a pleasure, thank you for having me.
We were just talking breakfast, weren't we, this morning?
Yes, indeed, yes.
Fuel for the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Now tell us a little bit about your background in property.
Well, I've been selling houses for 18 years, basically, always in the Walsall area. The company's been going for 25 years, so we have quite a diverse practice where we have residential lettings, property sales, obviously, and we also do auctions as well. So, yeah, we've sold a lot of houses in and around the area over the years, quite a number of times as well.
And how is the market at the moment? Has it picked up after the recession?
Yes, from a sales point of view, the market is very buoyant, really. What we're finding is properties that are coming onto the market that are priced realistically are selling and selling very well. The issue that we're finding in the main is the lack of stock, generally speaking.
Really?
There's an awful lot of properties where people are just sitting and waiting until the right property comes up. They want to move, they're in a position to be able to move, but unfortunately the right house isn't out there. So it is holding the market back to a certain extent. But we're certainly finding now that mortgage finance is freeing up, so people are in a much better position to move, generally speaking.
Yeah, and the buy-to-lets have really picked up, haven't they?
Absolutely, that is very much a growing sector. Rentals is a big part of our market now. What we find is that people are using it as an investment, and it's a very plausible investment, of course. Finance is very much available as far as buy-to-lets are concerned, and mortgage lenders are very keen on pushing that side of things. So, you know, it makes it easier for landlords, private landlords, to get into the market. But then there's a very large amount of people who are looking to rent, and I think long-term rent is a way that the market will go, as first-time buyers have to find more and more money in order to get onto the ladder, of course.
And I read the other day that the average age is 37 now.
Yes, that's right.
For first-time buyers. Do you think that's because maybe people, you know, back in the day they would, you know, save for that because it's a big deposit? Do you think maybe we're not saving enough? Is it harder with mortgages? Why do you think it's 37 now?
I think there's a number of elements, really. Obviously, mortgage companies want to see some evidence that lenders are in a position to be able to repay those loans, etc. So mortgage lenders and the mortgage lending criteria has certainly tightened up. So it means that lenders really do want to know everything about somebody before they're prepared to commit themselves to lending them quite a large chunk of money, of course. But I think it's a generation thing as well, to a certain extent, where the younger generation want the cars, want the televisions, things like that.
All, yeah.
Absolutely, and you can't have it all, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think, and we're certainly noticing now, I think younger people are starting to think, well, hold on a minute, we do want to get on the property ladder, so we will start saving, so we will sacrifice in certain areas maybe, in order to save that deposit, in order to get on the ladder.
Yeah. Well, shall we have a look at some properties? Because we were having a flick through earlier, weren't we? We've got one of the local papers here. We're also talking auctions, but we'll come back to that a little bit later in part two. So talking first-time buyers then, what are we looking at? What ideas have we got?
Well, first-time buyers, because the age has gone up to a certain extent, what we tend to find is that the price has gone up as well. First-time buyers, again, you go back to the good old days, 2007 and prior to that, if you like, and people were buying as individuals, so they were buying smaller properties, one-bedroom, two-bedroom properties. Apartments were obviously very popular because it was a stepping stone, if you like. Now we tend to find that the first-time buyers are buying as couples. So they're obviously traditionally it's a normal couple, but sometimes it's friends who are buying together or work colleagues who are buying together.
Maybe parents helping you out as well.
Absolutely, yes, yes. The bank of mum and dad is very prevalent at the moment. So really, the first-time buyer price range is relatively high, because obviously we've seen prices increase to a certain extent as well. So you know, something like that at £140,000, I would certainly say that is in the first-time buyer bracket, most definitely.
Right. Okay. What is that typical bracket bracket for a first-time buyer?
Well, I think it varies from area to area. We tend to find, and again in the Walsall area particularly, if you're looking at, say, a 2-bedroom terrace property, generally speaking, that's going to be in the region of £90,000 to £110,000, dependent on what particular road it's in. If you're looking at a 3-bedroom property, then it tends to be 100 to 125. But again, if they're looking in slightly more suburban areas, if you like, then people will pay £140,000, £150,000 quite happily. However, saying that, we do have people who come to us who are first-time buyers and they're buying their first home and they'll buy at £250,000. So, you know, it just depends on their circumstances, their history. People have moved around a lot more these days before they settle down and buy their first property. So they will have acquired more money, if you like, to be able to put down. So it is quite an open area, if you like.
It's quite daunting, isn't it, when you think of either whether it's your first home or moving home in general. It's a big upheaval. It's probably one of the most stressful things that you'll do.
It is, obviously, that we're there to try and make it as easy as possible for people, and we certainly try and do that. But no, it's not easy, and as I say, the way the mortgage lenders are now, they really do delve very deep into people's lives. Mortgage lenders are looking at people's bank accounts and what have you in order to make sure that their lifestyle does suit having a mortgage. And I think that is good to a certain extent, because we want responsible lenders and we want responsible lending, of course. So it does mean that youngsters are having to think a lot more about how they live their lives before they actually commit to buying a property as such.
Yeah, definitely. Well, of course, it is springtime. It's one of the best times to sell your home. And if you want some top tips to get it right, then have a little look at this. Spring is one of the best times to sell your home. With the flowers in bloom, so our gardens look more colourful, with the sun out for longer, so our days feel longer, and of course no summer holidays or Christmas celebrations getting in the way for potential viewers. So you may be looking at getting your home ready to go onto the market. But as it's one of the most stressful things that you'll do in life, and there's a lot to sort out, let's get some top tips so that we get it right.
My top tips for getting a property to go on the market in spring would be, I think, firstly, getting all those jobs done that you've been meaning to do. So all those little things that perhaps you've left for a couple of weeks, months, that you've promised the wife, the other half, that you've been meaning to do, just get them done, first of all. Secondly, making sure the property is presentable. So what I always say to clients of mine is just put yourself in a buyer's shoes. So imagine yourself, take yourself out of the property, walk in as a potential buyer. What do you pick up on? I think if the property's clean and tidy, people will always have their own personable things that they'll want to do to the property down the line after they've purchased it. But in the first instance, it is about absolutely making it presentable, making it neutral. That makes it easy for people to go in there and see themselves, put down their furniture, and then do those changes sort of over a period of time.
So we've heard that we need to declutter, depersonalise, sort out those odd jobs that we haven't got round to, and it can seem like a lot to do to get ready to get estate agents round to value your home. Remember, before a prospective buyer comes into your property, they first of all see the outside. They'll often do a drive-by first, so curb appeal is really important. Curb appeal is all about making the most of the exterior of your property. After all, first impressions really do count. Make sure the outside of your property is cleared from any rubbish, children's toys, bikes, put the bin out of sight if you can. Plant a few flowers or place a few pots outside too. A bit of nature, a bit of colour is always good. Finally, your front door needs to be freshly painted, varnished, or if in good order or UPVC, then wiped clean. Now to choose the right estate agent. Choose a local estate agent so that they know the area well and they can be around quickly to meet prospective buyers. If you have an unusual or expensive property, make sure that you choose an estate agent who specialises in homes like yours. Perhaps inquire about another property to see how efficient they are in dealing with it. Are they professional? What is their telephone manner like? Do they have the particulars you're inquiring about to hand? Do they have a good reputation? And what have they sold lately? What is their marketing like from the papers to the property portals such as Rightmove and Zoopla? Have they got an office that you can pop into in the local town? Do they use a proper camera for their photographs and not a camera phone? You'd be surprised. Do they accompany the viewings? Some estate agents only accompany potential buyers when you're out or unavailable. Others insist that this is part of the service, so they do it every time. Finally, narrow your choices to 2 or 3 and get them round to give you a valuation. Do your research before you get any estate agent around, just so that you've got a general idea on how much you think your property's worth. It can be tempting to go with the highest valuation, but that's not always good. You don't want to be that house that's still stuck on the market in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months or 2 years' time, all because it was on for too high in the first place. At the end of the day, if it's on at the right price, it will sell. Good luck, and I'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere, because after the break we are going to be looking at auctions, we're going to be talking buy-to-lets, and also perhaps if you're not moving house, then we are looking at a new section that's called Don't Move, Improve. So get yourselves comfy, see you in a moment.
Okay, we're rolling in your own time.
Join me, Rebecca Jane, every week for Midlands at Home. We'll be talking to local estate agents, finding out what's going on in the property market, and looking at
Okay, we're rolling in your own time.
Join me, Rebecca Jane, every week for Midlands at Home. We'll be talking to local estate agents, finding out what's going on in the property market, and looking at... Welcome back to Midlands at Home. We're now going to be looking, perhaps you're not moving house, but you're looking for inspiration around your home. So we're looking at Don't Move, Improve. And if you've got a room at home that you want some inspiration, then please do get in touch. We're going to feature a room every week and give you some ideas. So if you want to get in touch by Twitter, or if you want to get in touch by Facebook, our Facebook details, you've got Rebecca Jane Presenter, or on Twitter you can get in touch, and that's Rebecca Jane TV. Talking about doing up rooms, do you think it makes a big difference when you're selling your property, when you've got a house perhaps that's done up or one that needs renovation? Do people still want to do up their homes to sell?
Yes, definitely. We tend to find that there's two different types of buyers in the market. People who want to improve properties, people who want to do work to the properties, but then there's a very large sector who are people who just want to be able to move into a property, move their clothes into the wardrobe and start living. So I think when people are looking at selling their property particularly, they have to decide which sector of the market they're aiming it at. And if you're looking at selling the finished product, if you like, certainly whatever you can do to improve the condition will always help. We are noticing at the moment that the better presented properties tend to be going very, very quick, and also tend to be achieving very close to their asking prices.
I suppose it's busy lifestyles, isn't it? People don't want to necessarily do all the work. But you were showing me an interesting property earlier, actually, when we were looking through the pages, on a house that was built bespoke from scratch. You know, sort of people are moving towards really putting their own stamp on a property, aren't they?
Yes, definitely. Again, you know, as you look around the market at the moment, in all sorts of different areas, there's an awful lot of different ideas that people have got, and it's quite nice really, because people do like buying into that lifestyle that somebody's breathed into the property to a certain extent. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of different ideas out there at the moment, which is good from our point of view, because you see lots of different types of properties.
So once then there was this lovely kitchen, but it had real scope that if you take out the dining room wall, which is what was done, dining room was taken, the wall was taken out, RSJ put in to make a lovely big family kit, which you can see now actually just showing you the pictures, the before shots and the after shots, and it created this amazing big open family space, and I think a lot of families want sort of more open plan living, should we say? Definitely,
kitchens are a big area, obviously from a sales point of view, but from a lifestyle point of view these days. I know in my family, my wife will be cooking in the kitchen. I also do some cooking, I will get that in.
But and the children, and my kids are always around the kitchen table. I can cook, they're doing the homework.
And people will have living areas in the kitchen as well as dining areas in the kitchen now. And to be honest with you, a lot of the time it's very easy to do that. You talk about putting an RSJ into a property and people think, oh, that's a big job. These days it's not a massive job at all, and the expense isn't that dramatic, and it can make such a big difference to the property inside, and from my point of view make it much easier for us to achieve a sale, of course, because that's what people are looking for.
And I think living spaces as well, and bedroom spaces. There's some pictures now actually, have a little look at a bedroom, a before and an after shot, and all it really needed was a bit of love, you know, neutral walls, accent colour, and instantly an amazing, sort of new bedroom. So
definitely, again, presentation is the key, really, as far as
Yeah.
that's concerned, and it doesn't take much to dress a room, particularly a bedroom. It's very easy with cushions and soft furnishings, if you like.
You know,
so,
as girls like.
absolutely.
My other half's going, how many cushions? When I'm bringing back more cushions, like, oh gosh, really?
Can't lie on that. Yeah.
That's it. I think whether you're getting an old, because there's this big thing, isn't it, that there's two camps, old camp or new camp. Whether you want a new build or whether you want an old character house with original features. There's two different types of buyers, really. And
there are, yes, indeed. But again, and it's getting the balance right to a certain extent. We're seeing a lot of more traditional properties where people are going in and really trying to make them more modern, and there's a market for that to a certain extent, but there's also a market to keep a lot of the character.
Yeah.
And it's just down to people's individual choice as much as anything. We bought a new house 12 years ago, for instance, and our next move will more than likely be to a more traditional property because it offers us different things. It offers us more space potentially, but more land and things like that. And as people's lifestyles change, as their circumstances change, then obviously their requirements change as well. New build properties tend to have smaller plots, but they've got the bathrooms, they've got the utilities, they really do.
And
absolutely
insulated.
Yeah, very much so. So it's horses for courses, really, in that respect. And the nice thing is everybody has different opinions as to what they want, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're undecided whether you like a new build or an old build, then have a little look at this, a little bit more information to help you out. This week we're looking at old versus new. Generally there are two types of buyers. Those that want an older property with bags of character full of original features, and those who want a shiny brand new build for low maintenance and easy living. With 160,000 brand new homes being built across the UK every year, there's a fantastic amount of choice when it comes to buying new. The average cost of doing up an older property is £30,000, so it goes without saying that buying a new build could be a cost saver. Great quality building materials, latest heating systems, new windows with double glazing and great insulation, meaning lower running costs. New homes can use 40% less energy, which can save you up to £600 a year on energy bills. New homes can be safer and more secure than older homes. Fire safety is helped by the use of smoke alarms, fire doors and fire retardant materials. New homes often include security locks, burglar alarms and security lighting as standard. Most new homes come with a 10-year warranty too. These do not guarantee that your home will be free from snagging defects, but they do provide a useful cover, so it's often advisable to check when you're thinking of buying new. It's always nice to put your own stamp on a property, and the huge benefit of buying new is that you get to choose your fixtures and fittings. That's the exciting part. What colour carpet do you want? What bathroom tiles? And what taps are you looking for? Choose your kitchen worktops, tiles and your kitchen units. So much choice that when you move in, you can literally put down your furniture, sit down, relax and enjoy. There are a few ways to help make the process of purchasing your new home a lot easier. One of these is the government Help to Buy scheme. But how does that work?
The Help to Buy scheme was introduced by George Osborne in 2013 in his budget report, which stereotypically helps buyers looking to purchase and move within the residential property market. Very brief example would be a buyer looking to move with their 5% deposit. The government then steps in and lends up to and around sort of 20% of the deposit to help out fund the remainder of the deposit and make it up to a higher value to then enable them to move within the market.
Also look out for incentives, as some new builds offer to pay your stamp duty, offer cashback, flooring throughout, landscaping, or upgrade your fixtures and fittings, so be sure to ask. It's easy to see the clear advantages of buying a new build. However, if you want to put your own stamp on a property and you don't mind a bit of hard work, then perhaps an older property is right up your street.
Well, my preference has always been older properties, especially listed buildings because of the history. And if we're doing a property up, we usually like to research who's lived there and when they were built and that sort of, so build up a history. And then if you're converting an older property, you get a much better understanding of what to do with a building. First of all, we like to strip them back to the original fabric if we can, and then start from there and build up. Obviously taking into account modern sort of technology to a certain extent, but my philosophy is always to be true to the building, to the point of the materials that are used. Sometimes people will convert them, but use too much modern fabric, and it just loses the character.
Yeah, you obviously have to know what you're doing, which you clearly do. How long have you been doing this for?
Well, I'm a chartered surveyor, so I suppose to a certain extent I went into estate agency first of all, and then I sold my estate agency business because I was more interested in the actual property as opposed to the people. So probably 20, 30 years,
Gosh.
that sort of thing, and we've done several properties over the years. We've done new builds, but an old place has more attraction to me.
Absolutely. I mean, this building is beautiful. Obviously, it's a period building. Can you
yeah.
tell me a little bit more about the history? Because it
Well,
was your mum's, wasn't it?
Yeah, this belonged to my grandfather originally. He bought the farm, and my parents lived down the village. When my father died, my mother was left on her own, so she bought this for £1,000, I think
Wow.
it was. But that's going back a bit. And she bought some builders in to do a conversion. I was at college, so I wasn't even in that business. And I would call it not a very good conversion. If I could get hold of the original building again and do a conversion, obviously I would do it the way I've just described.
Yeah.
But and that's what it needs. If it's sold on the open market, hopefully somebody will do that.
So whether you're buying an older property or a shiny brand new build, there's certainly a lot of choice. But let's face it, we know as soon as we walk through a front door whether it's just a house or could be potentially your new home. I'll see you soon. Certainly a lot to think about. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today.
That's a pleasure.
I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of weeks. We're actually going to be filming some auctions in a few weeks, so I'm excited about that. So that's to come. Join us next week at Midlands at Home where we have more fabulous property. Please do get in touch. Take care and I'll see you then.
Okay, we're rolling in your own time.
Join me, Rebecca Jane, every week for Midlands at Home. We'll be talking to local estate agents, finding out what's going on in the property market and looking at